Hi guys, I'm down at Lenham at the moment and we're at a metal detecting rally, and I have a fairly substantial piece of flint on my hands here. As you can see, it's a really good quality piece. It comes from Breckland. This is about as good as flint gets anywhere in the world. So I've been asked to make an arrowhead, which you can see I've got plenty of flint to do that in, but obviously this flint could go on to make lovely daggers, axes, all sorts of things. So in the first place, I'm going to take one chunk off, and that's preparation flake for getting this cap off. So with that cap I can make a dagger, but going back to the arrowhead, what we just want is we want a piece of flint off, and then what I'll do is I'll look at the outcome of the removal, and I think we'll get the arrowhead off of the back of that outcome. So everything has to be positive like that. So when we look there, that is a beautiful, beautiful piece of stone. And the nice thing about it is the behaviour of the way it breaks is it gives this whole surface an ovate. It makes the whole surface of this ovate. So what we can do about that is we can plan and cast flakes into that. So just prior to taking the arrowhead off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at what else this has given me. So remember where that came from, and if you look at the shape of that, in the science of trying to knock this flake off, which is going to be the absolute premium flake that this piece of flint has to offer, I couldn't hit that there because the shape was wrong. But now that's removed, we'll pop that down for a second and we'll turn that whole boy over. And what we actually have is we have something that's really, really super realistic in terms of something to strike. So if I use that as a platform, and if you think you draw a soft arc shape there, if I hit that there, we're leading on to that beautiful shape. So that's what we're going after. A little bit of shifting around here. And just prior to hitting that, the story doesn't end. If you look at this stuff which is laying on the surface of this material, that's actually lime mortar. Because I didn't dig this out of the ground. This was brought to me. Basically, there was a footing to an old church that had fallen into decay, and they're changing the environment. And they'd built a church on top of the footings, and they'd put big pieces of flint underneath it. So it's a bit of a holy grail as far as flint goes. You know, you've got lime mortar, which is what you have to build flint in, because flint expands and retracts, and cements won't let that do that. But yeah, we have history 2 times round on our hands here. So screwing it up would be catastrophic, and that's not something I intend. So that's the point of impact, and there's the intended flake. So we're going to hit that like we mean it, like that. And what we'll do is we'll put that down, and the truth of the matter is, because there is a truth of the matter, what we've just opened is we've opened up a 100 million year old storybook. You know, this is the base of the ocean, and that deserves and warrants some inspection. That's beautiful, isn't it? And when you think about availability, we could have one of the most prime flakes off of this. You know, just like a butcher cutting up the best piece of meat, you need to know how you're going to do it. You're not going to use a blunt knife, and you're not going to hack it and thrash it about. You're going to do things in a premium style. So as far as premium styles go, what I would like is I would like that off of there, and that has an amazing extraction plan. And what's more, if we care to, which we should do, we should always remember that when we're knapping something like a piece of flint, you have an opportunity to look back in time. And the Neanderthals used to do a technique, it was called a Levallois blade core. And what they would do is they would take little short flakes off, that didn't quite reach the centre, so that the back of the flint ended up looking like the back of a turtle, and then they'd cast this premium flake off. That would be a Lavawa hand axe. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert this platform shape now, which, when you see, that's the old shape of the platform there. If we take all that off, it's going to then be totally 180 degree reversed, and that's going to lead us on to being able to strike that flake off. So let's just navigate the bulb of percussion as I describe it. So that bulb of percussion, you're starting to see the back of it here, and this thing is actually called a Hertzian cone because it's like a pyramid with no sides on it. So it's a round soft arc. We're still navigating that until we get to that optimum point where I've just gone right over the top of it. And it's one of them things, when you're flint knapping, there's more that can go wrong than can go right. So it's haphazard unless you get it completely and utterly right.
Oh, Raffles.
So that's careful preparation there, and I'm looking at the quality of that platform shape, and I'm ascertaining as to whether everything's just right. I'm going to need something quite beefy to knock that off with. So over here what we have is a nice big red soft hammer, and the whole idea is to give that a good strike just there. I think we've owned that moment, and the nice thing is when you hold that up to the light, you're actually looking at the Cretaceous seabed from 100 million years ago, fossilised in time. So that lives on, and that can go on to be have multiple flakes cast over it, scoring dozens of these, and eventually turning into an axe or a dagger. So now we're going to pressure flake this, and we're going to pressure flake this with a little leather hand pad on the palm here, and a little copper tipped flaker, and it's a fairly repetitive thing to observe, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a platform along the side, and then what we're going to do is we're going to release a set of uniformed flakes along that as well. So it's quite difficult to hold, as you can imagine. My hand's going about over the back of a razor blade, so I'll hollow cup that so that I don't cut myself, and off we go. I need to be able to see what I'm doing, so we'll put the glasses down because this needs to be done with quality. And one of the things that we'll talk about here is the value of good quality flakes. And the reason I always talk about this is because 47 years ago, I went running through into the kitchen of my home where I was growing up with my three sisters, and there was a barbed and tanged arrowhead laying on the side that my dad had produced in his first year of flint knapping. And it wasn't just the shape of the arrowhead, but it was the quality of the flake scars. The flake scars had travelled over the surface and gave this piece of stone lustre and a beauty that my eyes couldn't deny. I didn't run by, I come to a screeching halt, and I looked at it, and I knew from that point onwards, I knew something for the first time I'd ever known anything. You know, I was just a screaming little child that was running around, finding things to throw, enjoying just the age But it was the power of a barbed and tanged arrowhead that stopped me deliberately, and I went, wow. I think that might have been the first wow that ever crept out of my lips. And I looked at that and I knew that I had to be able to do that. So what I'm hoping is that I'm going to cast a sequence of flakes along the surface of this that give you the opportunity to go wow.
Why are the others here?
A lot of the times when you see this done, you'll see it done on a cut, sawn piece of stone, which has then been ground into shape. And the value of it is that the flakes that come off don't have anything to bump into, because the stone has been cut and ground into a shape that makes it easy for the flake scars to travel across. And what we've done here is we've set the whole situation up just through the process as we know it as flint knapping, so that it can be done without all of the modern machinery and the grinding. That's the 40 years of skill that we've been practicing. The easiest way to demonstrate that is just to wet it, and what you can see is you can see the echoes of every scar. Now, going back further and beyond, sitting there looking at the arrowhead that my dad had made, there's a value that when the people are walking these fields at the Lenham metal detecting rally, yes, sure enough, they're going to hear that bleep, but from time to time they're going to look down and they're going to see it's not the echo that's coming out of their machine, but it's the echo of hands from thousands of years ago that made a tool, and that's been discarded, left on the land, and that echo is a memory, it's an intention of creating a tool for survival by man thousands of years ago. So with that, I'll plough on and then we'll show you the finished result.
You're on.
So hopefully this demonstrates what I was talking about. That's about 45 minutes later and we have one barbed and tanged arrowhead. Sort of speaks volumes. It talks about a time, doesn't it? It talks about something that was going on 3,500 to 4,000 years ago. Is it the pinnacle of archery or is it the pinnacle of a craft? I'll leave that one with you. Cheers.